Horrifying case of incest has been uncovered in Otulu community, Delta State, where a man allegedly impregnated his biological daughter and is now on the run. The disturbing case was revealed by Harrison Gashamu, founder of the Behind Bars Human Rights Foundation, who confirmed that the young survivor is currently safe and receiving shelter, medical care, and psychosocial support from the foundation. Gashamu emphasized that incest is both a moral and legal crime, urging the Delta State Police Command to immediately arrest and prosecute the suspect. Under Nigerian law, incest is a criminal offense punishable by up to 7 years imprisonment. If the victim is under 18, the offense escalates to defilement or rape, carrying a life imprisonment sentence. The foundation has appealed to the public for medical, legal, and material assistance for the survivor and her unborn child. The case has once again drawn attention to child protection failures and the urgent need for stronger community and legal systems to safeguard vulnerable children. Why will a man find his daughter attractive enough to have coitus with her to the tune of impregnating her? Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on this report?
I mean, it's such a sad one. Just starting from the first report we had. When you have, I mean, nobody expects this, right? I mean, no mother would expect this. Right. But when you have a marriage built on bad foundation, where you don't really know the kind of person you're living with, that is where, you know, the family to come, which when I say family, when you begin to have peace, that's when things like this are going to happening, right? When your spouse might be having sexual relationship or relations with his own child, and it's such a awkward thing to even say out loud. But we live in a world where these things happen now. You know, I've been on this way and I've made a statement about not all people are supposed to be married, right? And not all people are supposed to be parents. Not that I'm saying that people should not get married, but when you do not truly understand who you are moving in as to be a family with, right, this is what happens. Because I feel like if you have tried to understand someone and their frame of thoughts, their thinking pattern and wavelength, you'll probably be able to tell that such person may not be a good father. You know, I know this is such a serious issue, but there are cases where there are some fathers who even maltreat their children violently. You're just facing a different picture now. You know, still comes from things like this anger management, comes from men that are not morally upright. You know, you'll be able to tell with the way of thinking, with the way they see things. Right. And sadly, this young girl has fallen into such a category. And we have had issues like this going on in this part of the world for a very long time, and it's not even getting better. Right. Now,
you just mentioned getting better because that was the direction I was headed. I can, off of my head, paint up to 3 cases of a similar nature. A woman, I think earlier in the year, had traveled to take care of her daughter. Her daughter had a baby, Omugbo, and she, usually African practice where the mother goes to take care of a child that had just given birth. So she has moved to a different city to take care of her daughter that had a baby. So she left the youngest daughter, who was at the time a teenager, I think she was about 13, 14. And she had left that child in the care of her father, number 1, because that child is schooling, and number 2, so someone will be at home to, assist the father, maybe fix dinner or do some house chores and just make life a little bit more easier. Now, when she left her daughter after the 3 to 6 months of Omugbo that she had gone to stay, and when she came back home, the daughter she had left in the care of her father, a father who is meant to protect, a father who is meant to intercede, a father who is meant to guide, had gotten the little 13 to 15-year-old child pregnant. So definitely this report is not an isolated case. Why do you think this practice has now become on the rise? I can tell you of another father who went around, having coitus with 4 of his daughters, to the tone that this girl started arguing within themselves, saying, oh, daddy, you're always with this person, you're not with me, you're always with that person, you're not spending enough time with me. How did we get here? What went wrong? And how do we stop it?
The world is such a dark place. Not trying to scare anybody. I mean, it's not a new saying. I think in the Yoruba culture, there's a saying, I just translated that there's nothing new under the sun. That is because human beings always find ways to do one of the worst things we can think of. If you think there is something that has not been done before, if you check properly, you find out that it has. And that's why in society we are supposed to have very stone-written laws that would curtail such things from happening. Morality has always been a thing of plus and minus. Like it's a free will, it's a free choice for everybody to choose to be moral or not. So when people choose to be immoral, they are supposed to face the law, right? But in this part of the world, I feel like the reason why things like this are on the right is because our laws do not really take down these things when it happens. There are situations where, like I always say, I feel like whenever I don't hear a follow-up from situations like this, I don't think justice was served. Because if justice was served, I think it would be worth hearing about. But I can tell you that I've talked about cases like this more than a dozen on this show for as long as I've been, being a guest on the show. And I can tell you for a fact that out of that dozen, maybe 1 or 2 was probably publicized at least, that we heard, the perpetrator was sentenced and all of that. What about the rest? They shouldn't do a plus or minus with this case. When rape is committed, or when a crime generally is committed, they have laws. Let it be fixed. It's almost as if saying when you wake up around 7 a.m. it's daybreak, right? It's morning. It should be as fixed as that. Or when we begin to have funny clauses around, or situations where maybe because someone is privileged to be in a particular position, laws are not served. I've even heard stories of some. This might be a bit digression, but we all need to put hands together. I've heard stories of a girl child telling her mother rather, that her father has been doing such a thing to her, and the mother didn't take it seriously. People went ahead to call the daughter a liar. The daughter wants to spoil her home and all of that. There are crazy people out there. That's why I'm still going to say some people are not supposed to be parents, because they don't really understand what it means to guide and protect, to be a father, or in some cases to be a mother. Just like you mentioned, a father is supposed to. I mean, I can't even picture or imagine such a thing. Feeds your biological daughters to begin to have affairs with them. It just goes to show that morality is on the rise, and we as a society, we are supposed to ensure that the law is as rigid as it should. And other organizations as well, religious institutions, schools, workplaces should also take this thing into consideration.
Right.
So just like in the Western world, if you are not even if you are alleged to have raped someone, let's say you're a footballer or an actor, right? And it's just a rumor that you raped an underage, they will not even wait for you to prove yourself innocent. I know it's in some cases there are cases where the man might be exonerated in the end, right? But the fact remains that they take it that seriously that they won't even wait for you to begin to analyze or defend. At that point in time, you most likely lose most of your partnerships and business deals, because it is not taken lightly. So that is what the society is supposed to be like in this part of the world. When something is wrong, religious institutions, workplaces should think against it. I know of a colleague that works with an international organization. I think one of his colleagues beat up wife, domestic violence, right? And the wife, after enduring for a while, he was beaten her up. She reported to the organization where he worked, and he was sacked immediately. And
Wow.
funny enough, the organization offered the woman a job. I mean, it's some might say, there are some crazy people out there that will feel like, oh, why would she make the husband lose everything and all that bull? I don't, but the fact remains, if we live in a society where everybody is against something that is wrong, obviously it's not going to thrive. And
Right.
imagine such a father loses his job, um, the church suspends him, the law is on the other side to also, to take action. People would, even if they have these thoughts in their mind, they wouldn't take action on it because they know that it's literally going to be them against the world, right?
Right.
So, but when a father thinks he can escape with this thing, which in past cases there are fathers who have escaped with this thing, that's when you have it coming up on the rise and being more frequent in our society.